Put that shit out there. No fanfare needed. Move this to the bottom right, probably. I probably should have done that beforehand, but fuck it, whatever. Where is the timer thing? There it is. Okay, so I just gotta move that. That is not quite where I want to move it. This is more about I want to move it. Then take this whole thing, put that down there. Good, 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 good. All right, that works out. Cool. Let me now adjust the no wait, Elgato CC desktop audio. That's all fine. Okay, okay. We're good, we're good. Might be false alarm. All right. This is again the regularly scheduled. I am trying to get all the costumes in this game. Yeah, trying to get all of the alternate character outfits to the extent that I can. Here, let's go map. I guess I ended it off somewhere here last time. I don't really know. I'll just start here, since that's where my character is. And I will change character right now to be... Yes, okay, very good. New Wario character. Or new Wario outfit. Very nice. Sort. Sorry, the AC unit is back. Let me actually check. I'm going to double check something. Oh, I actually don't have to have it on. For daylight today. And alright. Just saw that the weather is nice enough today. I don't have to have the AC going. I can actually have the window open, which is quite nice. It's a little bit muggy outside, but it's August. You know, we take what we can get here. So, I'm going in order of characters. I have unlocked everything for everyone up to Wario. Now I gotta go move on to Waluigi, who thinks he's in the fucking West Side Story. Oh yeah, that's right. I also just remembered, you know, sometimes this doesn't actively occur to me, but I realized that Charles Martinet no longer does the voices for the Mario Bros. And Wario and Waluigi because, you know, he's retired, I think. My knowledge, he's still alive. I don't know. I don't think he's dead yet. But they've got new voice actors for these guys. It's literally the first time since 1995 that they've hired new voice actors for Mario, Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi because the whole time Charles Martinet had been doing that. Let's change the sticker. Reminds me of the phenomenon where everyone thinks everyone's invincible. Yeah, it's like it's a pretty baked-in bias a lot of people have. That you just kind of assume that things are gonna still be there forever. Let's get this nice Koopa. Waluigi just looks so gangly. There we go. Sure, I'll just do that. Waluigi is riding his very magical magic carpet. And I am gonna go try to find some nice Yoshi's food things. What? That is a medal? That is a medallion. And that is a P mission. Alright, so we got some things going on here. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Okay. The first thing I wanted to go on a tangent about. And by tangent I mean just like streamer yapping, right? Because everybody loves that. Pertaining to the title of the stream, I do feel immense hate right now. I was feeling that for much of last night, but not necessarily for the usual reasons of like, wow, politics sucks and everything is horrible all the time, right? I feel a kind of not resignation, but like acceptance that, you know, the world fucking sucks and I'm going to do what I can to improve it. That kind of thing doesn't it doesn't usually get me in such a state like that emotionally, right? It doesn't send me into a fit like that the way it used to. No, last night I was in like started embarking on like some random rabbit hole. There is an airplane flying overhead and it is quite loud. Uh, where there was a like a math problem. Now, I usually fucking hate math, and the reason I hate math was actually reified at a certain point by by this math problem. But it was a math problem, a geometry problem, in fact, called Langley's adventitious angles, or Langley's adventitious triangles, right? And if anybody here is like a math student, they might know what I'm talking about. It's like has a nickname as the hardest easy geometry puzzle, right? And when people say that, it's a play on the kind of geometry you're supposed to use. Sorry, I don't. I lived in Republican states. That's a +2. Good fucking. I appreciate that. Yeah, unfortunate. People from red states will not know this because nobody fucking gets an education in red states. No, it was this problem, right? It's known as the hardest easy geometry puzzle, and the reason it's even labeled as easy at all, it like in super heavy air quotes, easy, is because you don't use like really advanced mathematics to solve it, right? You use stuff that you learned like in elementary school geometry or like middle high school geometry, right? Basic geometric principles. For example, if you have a triangle, all three angles must add up to 80 degree, not 80, 180 degrees. If you have an isosceles triangle, then one angle will be one thing, and the other two angles have to be the same. You know, that's kind of what makes an isosceles triangle what it is, right? Things like side, angle, where you can say like, oh, these two triangles have like two of the same angles and one of the same sides. Therefore, the third angle will be the same, and the length of the other two sides will be the same. I bet whoever found out that phenomenon like was like, oh, that's neat. Yeah, so you use all these relatively basic but like neat visual and logical tricks to determine that like, oh, this triangle has to be in some way equal to this triangle, and you know, these two triangles must be equal. This side has to be the same as this side, right? This angle has to be this. You know, and in the same way, like if you have a big isosceles triangle and then you just draw a straight line halfway up it that makes a smaller isosceles triangle, then the angles will still be the same, right? Because that's how those triangles work. So you use basic principles like that, you know, and the issue is you're given this starting triangle, you know, isosceles triangle, and then there are a couple of other smaller triangles contained within it. Some people from Brazil apparently know this as a Russian triangle because it's supposed to be like a sort of gatekeepy thing for people who want to get into like math Olympiads and stuff. It is, again, it is only easy in the sense that you do not need to know anything beyond basic geometric principles in order to solve it. However, you have to have such a mastery and theoretical grasp of these basic principles that you can kind of like extrapolate them ad infinitum. Like you could fucking go on and do these forever in every single instance where they're applicable, right? A fucking ninth grader is not solving this. You know, unless that ninth grader then goes on to win some like math Olympiad at the you know, some global event. Right? In fact, if I can, I kind of want to find a picture of the triangle that I'm thinking of, right? Okay, this spits me out right here. Very nice. Let me go around this way. Let me see if I can't find a picture of this. Where is an image that I can use? Okay. This is, none of these are the exact triangle. Here, I think I found one from another thing. Okay, yeah. Let's open this image in a new tab, and I'll put actually this image in like the React Andy thing. Properties, React Andy, that, okay. Open that up. Here's the image that I am thinking of here, or the triangle that I was trying to analyze, right? It's kind of hard to see. Let me alt drag this. Oops. And I'll zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Right? So this is the triangle that is like it's this problem that's like you have, so alpha up here, this is 20 degrees, and then you see A and B, these angles down here are both 80 degrees, right? So it was this like simple but extremely difficult puzzle. Then you have gamma and beta. There's these triangles that are inside the bigger triangle, and you have to figure out this question mark. The version I got, it was like, this is angle X, find X, right? This is supposed to be 20 degrees. This is supposed to be 10 degrees, right? Which would then mean that this is 60 degrees, and this is 70 degrees, this is 50 degrees, this is also 50 degrees, these are both 130 degrees. There's a number of things that you can deduce just from knowing certain information, right? Is it one of those problems where you can't measure the angles because it's defying physics? You are closer than you think you are in that assessment, right? This is a mathematical theorem, a mathematical problem that was concocted in the year 1922. Here, I'm gonna actually keep this in the top right so people can see exactly what I'm talking about, even if it's like kind of small. This was a mathematical problem that was concocted in the year 1922 by a mathematician, right? And it took several decades in order to solve it. And I'll let you have actually a few more guesses. When you say like, oh, is it one of those things that you can't do because it's defying physics? You are astonishingly close to the reason that nobody figured this out. It's one of those problems where it's like, why don't I just measure the triangle? Again, you're close, and what you're very close, and you know, I'll give you some more guesses, right? There were some forums that I saw where people were saying, yeah, if you know trigonometry, this is actually quite easy. You can just brute force, what is it, sine, cosine rules over and over and over again until you find out that one angle, right? You know, but I didn't want to do that because I fucking hate trigonometry, and because the premise of this puzzle is that you are supposed to solve it, and you're supposed to be able to solve it with simple geometry, which is just the principles that I laid out, right? If you are given certain information, you can sort of deduce what the other information in the puzzle is, right? If there are two lines that form an X and you are given one angle being 50 degrees, then you know that the opposite angle is also 50 degrees, and that therefore the other two angles must be 130 degrees, because that X contains 360 degrees of angles, and, you know, it's two intersecting straight lines. Does that make sense? So, like, these are, again, the basic geometric principles. You are very close when you say that, like, this would be breaking physics. Take a look at angle beta and angle gamma, right? The one that looks like the letter Y, and then beta, the letter B. Remember how I said that these angles are supposed to be, gamma is supposed to be 10 degrees. That's supposed to be a 10-degree angle. And beta is supposed to be a 20-degree angle. Take a guess as to how that is relevant to the frustration I would later encounter, because I will lay it out. Oh, that turned me back into normal Waluigi? Cringe. Anybody else in chat, too. Like, anybody. I think I would need to write on the triangle to solve this. You would think, but I did that for about an hour and a half last night, and I couldn't do it. What I want is for you to take a guess as to the problem with this, just looking at angle beta and angle gamma, right? Visually, I need you to deduce this. It's not a matter of mathematics here that I'm asking of you. Visually, what is wrong with this triangle if you know that angle beta is supposed to be 20 degrees and angle gamma is supposed to be 10 degrees? What is wrong with this? I don't think there's any additional things I could get here, like Yoshi Burger or whatever. Ah, dang. I didn't get the orange mini turbo. And keep in mind also, I'm not asking you to solve this, right? It doesn't, and in fact, I will give you the answer. Not the solution, but the answer, right? The question here is, you see this little angle that's marked question mark. What is this angle, right? It's telling you, like, you need to, given this, like, these triangles and these angles, whatever, you have to find out what the, wait, I don't think I see a 20-degree angle. Right, you are. So, alpha up here is 20 degrees. The value of the question mark, I will spoil it for you right now. The answer is that x equals 30. The mystery angle, question mark, that we're supposed to solve for is 30 degrees, right? But I ask you, does that make any sense given what we're looking at here, right? You're spot on when you say you don't think you see a 20-degree angle. It's a trick. Beta is not actually 20 degrees. Look at this. This visually doesn't make any sense. Exactly. I spent an hour and a half on this with the starting information that beta is equal to 20 degrees and gamma is equal to 10 degrees. They didn't fucking draw a 20-degree angle and a 10-degree angle for this. These triangles are all incorrectly proportioned. They're wrong. The image is wrong for the numbers they're trying to use to describe it. And you know what? This makes even, like, it got to the point, right? It was like, it all made sense in retrospect when I started seeing forums that didn't even reference a particular image for this geometric puzzle, right? It was all text. It was like, okay, so side AB is equal to blah, 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 and like a bunch of letters and mathematical symbols and whatever. I was like, this doesn't fucking make any sense. Show me an image of how this is supposed to make sense. Let me make visual sense of this. But that's the trick. It doesn't make visual sense. You're supposed to just... like or actually, you're not supposed to solve this from mathematical first principles. You're supposed to be confounded by false information, false geometric information. They are telling you angle beta is equal to 20 degrees, but they've drawn an angle that is not 20 degrees. You know, in fact, it got so bad at one point. The answer didn't make any sense. And then I was like, okay, well, what's the process? How do you arrive at this answer? The process didn't make any sense, right? What you're supposed to do, the process, is you're supposed to draw like smaller isosceles triangles, because an isosceles triangle has two sides that are equal in length, right? Because it has two of the same angles, it'll also have two of the same sides. You can split it down the middle and it's symmetrical, right? You draw smaller isosceles triangles. You see I think that's why it took me so long, is I was assuming they weren't being dishonest. Yes, and that's exactly what I got hung up with too. And I will bet you my bottom dollar that is what mathematicians got hung up with for the better part of 70 years on this puzzle, is that they're being given visually dishonest information. If somebody drew the actual fucking correct triangles for this that corresponded to the numerical values that were being told A, B, gamma, beta, and alpha all have, some mathematician could solve it within the afternoon. Right? But like this supposed 20 degree angle beta down here is not 20 degrees. This angle here, gamma, this is not 10 degrees visually. As part of the process for solving it, eventually, you know, you draw an isosceles triangle or whatever, you draw like another one. You can get like an equilateral triangle out of this if you kind of finesse it or something. Eventually, drawing equilateral triangles here in like an hourglass shape will give you like a straight line that comes across here, right? So imagine there's like from this point, there's a straight line that comes across. And this is where shit doesn't make any fucking sense. You draw a straight line, so now this and this are lines, right? You imagine there's a triangle here. This side here that is created by the straight line that you would draw across here, this side and this side are the same. So, draw a straight line, you've created a demonstrably much shorter line segment here. I'm trying to use my mouse for reference. You know, line here, line here, line here. These two lines are supposed to be mathematically the same size. And that's why I knew, wait a minute, this isn't a math problem. This is an optical illusion disguising itself as a math problem. And I got so fucking mad at it last night. This is why I hate math, dude. See, if this were actually a 20 degree angle, if this were actually a 10 degree angle, it would be way the fuck easier to solve this, right? Honestly, something like this is kind of the point where you're like, fuck it, bust out the protractor. You can't fucking, you know, pull one over on me like this. You know? I was thinking about the item that makes the problem super easy. Yeah, a protractor. Protractors are what let you measure angles. Or even a ruler, if the triangles were drawn to scale, right? Obviously, in a geometry class, you know, using a protractor would be cheating, right? Because you just measure the angle straight up. You could also use a ruler, which is not cheating, because a ruler is just a straight edge with certain distances marked. It does not measure angles. But the thing is, this is wrong. This is a geometrically wrong triangle. The numbers that they give in place of these variables do not correspond to the actual physical dimensions of the drawn triangle. You know, which results in like triangles that don't make any sense. Yeah, just give me a middle finger and tell me that's a triangle. You'd have about as much luck. God, I fucking hate mathematics. I hate it even more than I used to, right? Because when I took math classes in high school, legitimately, the last time I actually took a math class was in high school, and it was calculus. Right? There was always the assumption that we're being given some kind of correct information. There was the assumption that, like, okay, we're assuming that this is actually, like, roughly to scale, right? Like, if this side says 4 and this other side says 5, I can measure it out with a ruler, and the one side will actually be, like, 4/5 the length of the other side, right? You know, and the importance of that is not just so that you can game it with a ruler, right? Like, that's not what I'm trying to get at here, that you should be able to, like, always game it with a ruler and a protractor or whatever. No, what's important about that is that when you're dealing with Euclidean geometry, which is pretty fucking important if you know how mathematical axioms work, when you're dealing with Euclidean geometry, you have to actually be given shapes with the correct proportions in order to make visual sense of the information you're being told to decipher. Does that make sense? Isn't math just a board game with the most rules you can ever think of? Certainly the way these fuckers are playing it, you know? And here it's like the rules of the board game don't fucking correspond to the board they're playing the game on. It's like you're playing D&D, and it's like, just shut up, just pretend it's a D&D board and it's fucking Monopoly. It's like, no, I won't actually, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, just imagine that there's like a you know, such and such space here. It's like, well, I kind of can't because there isn't. Like, I know that part of this is supposed to be, oh, haha, you're supposed to be able to engage with abstracted information and stuff. But we're dealing with math, something that is so fundamental to the physical construction of the universe that it relies on physical consistency. You know? And even in mathematical theory, you need that to match up with that consistency. Almost like the problem was made by a fascist. You know what? Sure, fuck it. Whatever mathematician made this, they are literally Hitler, and I don't respect them. Because they don't respect anybody else, clearly. Because they invented this fucking math problem. No, I actually don't want to be going this way. That actually made me feel such, like, anger and frustration and hatred last night. So I was like, what the fuck? Because initially I thought it was super interesting because it's designed such that on initial examination, it seems like pretty simple. Because it's not that different from something you'd be given in, like, a high school geometry class. Like, oh yeah, here's this shape. Here's a triangle. You know, we've learned certain rules about how triangles work, about how four-sided objects work, and stuff like that, and how to deduce these angles. Here's an angle that, you know, we want you to deduce, right? And it's like, okay, sure, sounds reasonable, I guess. But then, you know, you get further and further into it, and I was like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty interesting that, you know, because of the position of this angle, and specifically the angles that we're not given, that we don't know, it's kind of hard to deduce what that angle is. But then that all falls apart when you realize that it, like, the only reason it's difficult at all is because it visually doesn't line up with anything. Yeah, it, like, they're trying to teach you to ignore the physical reality in front of you, which is directly contrary to what the first principles of math are supposed to be, you know? I'm gonna retry this. Like, the supposed functionality of math is that it is a numerical language and symbological language that is well suited to describe the physical terms of the world that we live in, right? Which means we see things. First order of business, we observe things physically, right? We see them. And then we use these numbers in ways that can help us describe them physically as they occur, right? Gravity, we see things falling, we observe them, and we have to come up with a formula, a way to express in this numerical language how that works. You wouldn't, like, you can't really, like, create such a mismatch there that it, like, breaks the numbers away from the physical reality it's describing, right? And that's not to say that, like, every time you draw an image of a truck, it has to actually be moving 20 miles an hour in order for you to say it's moving 20 miles an hour. No, what it means is that if you're shown a truck that is moving at a certain speed and you're told to guess that speed, you would guess based on what you observe, right? That's how you come to those conclusions, based on observation. This is almost like anti-empirical math. It's like math rationalism, trying to derive it so exclusively from first principles that it comes into dissonance with the physical reality it describes. Give me a real fucking triangle next time, guys. Okay. And there we go. Okay, got the last 2 points. Idea I had where you could figure out Spider-Man's identity with just math. Who's the biggest nerd on campus? That's probably Spider-Man. Is how I imagine that kind of thing would go. So that actually had me in quite a twist. That math problem. Oh, that's interesting. Measure the speed he's going, like how fast he gets where he's going, and then use that to triangulate where he comes from. Interesting. Since Spider-Man wants to see people who'll go as fast as possible, so we know the speed variable will be consistent. Oh, you know what? That's true. That Spider-Man probably will go at the fastest speed that he can reasonably, like, consistently go, because he's, like, really busy. He's always in a hurry to get someplace and shit like that. Okay, that makes sense. Isn't there a there's gotta be Yoshi's place here somewhere. Oh yeah, there's one like up top, I think. Maybe not up top here, but somewhere. Oh no, wait, there is one up top. I'll take the direct way. Yeah, like most direct route at the fastest pace that you could reasonably go at consistently. I see what you're getting at. I am going to use this glider ramp to go over this way. Also, that didn't give me another costume, which is unfortunate. I'll just drop down here. With the right information, a middle schooler could figure this out. I don't doubt it. In fact, I mean, that's like that is kind of like middle or high school level math, right? Now where am I going? I'm trying to go this way. That's why if Spider-Man existed, he would be screwed. Yeah, 4chan would be on that shit frame one and they would dox him instantly. Because Spider-Man would be like, respect minorities. And then all the 4chan idiots, all the fucking 4chan incels and Nazis would be like, alright, that's it. We have to fucking dox this man and reveal his identity. And they would like summon the power of like all the dead mathematicians from centuries past just to like dox a college student who's like, yeah, I want to help poor people. You know? That's the real unrealistic thing behind Spider-Man. Anywho. It's segue time. Y'all probably saw this. Well, actually, somebody might not if they're tuning into the stream and don't follow politics, you know. Let's take this to archive.org, maybe? Here, paywall bypass. Remove paywall? No, that one isn't it. It's this one, right? Yeah. Wait, no. Archive.is, maybe? It's Axios. Axios, one of the rare instances of, like, news that does actual reporting instead of kiss-ass bullshit. What do we got? Well. You know what? I don't think there's that much to the article apart from, like, apart from, like, the headline and the first couple of paragraphs. So, DHS denies tying FEMA funds to Israel stance. Yeah, the Trump administration recently implemented and then immediately tried to backpedal and gaslight everybody on a change to FEMA funding protocols. Basically, they made disaster relief funding in America contingent on whether a state is like loyal to Israel. I'm not kidding. Like the initial tweet, I think, from the DHS, because of course they fucking announced this through a tweet, was that basically if any state has a critical stance of Israel or like hasn't banned BDS. I think specifically it was like if a state has not like outlawed the boycott, divest, and sanctions movement, which is, you know, a movement against apartheid in Israel, then they will not receive any disaster relief aid from the federal government. Right? So like if a hurricane hits your state or whatever, we just straight up won't help you. And also, like, FEMA funds typically go to some disaster warning stuff as well. I mean, some of that comes from the Weather Service, which has also been cut. But basically, like, we will throw you to the wolves if you don't support Israel. And that was so, like, disastrous from a fucking media perspective that they had to try to backpedal on that, right? And of course, I don't even remotely doubt that this was going to be like a partially, at least partially intended effect of this. This is going to fuel a lot of like real anti-Semitism, right? Because the same people that, you know, push shit like this onto everyone are the same people who say that like Israel equals Jews and Jews equals Israel. When you criticize Israel, that's anti-Semitism actually, because Israel equals Jews. Definitely not a fucking extremely racist and anti-Semitic thing to say when the majority of Jews in America are critical of Israel and do not support apartheid in Israel, and when the majority of Zionists, people who do support Israel, are not Jewish. At least they're being more honest now. If only, right? Like they denied that. They're like, please do the JQ. Yeah, they're literally like trying to push people into JQ posting because that further justifies actually the existence of the state of Israel, right? Like Israel participates in this kind of wave of propaganda where it's like, oh yeah, Israel equals Jews and Jews equals Israel. They constantly, Israel, the government of Israel constantly equates everything it does to actions of the Jewish community, like by the Jewish community, for the Jewish community, and whatever the hell else, right? Like, Israel is the vanguard of this because, like, the more people JQ post, the more protective, the more they get to basically pretend that they're a victim, the state of Israel, you know, and the more they get to sort of reify their position among the far right. Reminds me of the Hassan debate. You're gonna have to be more specific. I don't remember which one that would be. But yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I could go to Wario Stadium. There's the new one about Israel. I'll have to see that one. I actually don't see much of Hassan's stuff on YouTube. I mean, I see some of it in my recommended feed, but I don't frequently watch it. Is this, I'm going the right way? Yes, I am. Okay. I'll have to take a look at that. But yeah, you know, I don't doubt if he makes a version of that argument, then yeah, he's correct. Because that's why Israel exists, you know? Israel is like God's gift to anti-Semitism, if, you know, because they constantly like, yeah, we're murdering, you know, Palestinian civilians en masse. By the way, we are representative of all Jews around the world. Haha, the Jews did this, but it's actually like justified. Oh, not YouTuber Hassan? Mehdi Hassan, you mean? I see. Gotcha. Mehdi Hassan also very based. It's got to be some of my favorite Hassans on the internet. Probably the only Hassans on the internet. Never mind. Never mind. Pretend I didn't say anything. Oh yeah, that debate. I saw that. That was fucking painful. Yeah, the fucking J Street moron. Average J Street Zionist saying like, don't say that it's a genocide because that hurts my feelings particularly. And have you considered the trauma of Holocaust survivors and like survivors of October 7th or something like that? You know, by the way, nobody's more against Israel's actions in Gaza than me, but I just think that you should be pro-Israel actually. Like really. Yeah, most of the Holocaust survivors are dead. Number one. Number two, suffering doesn't make people more empathetic or make their opinions more valid. It just makes them suffer. Number three, fuck you. Shut up. Number four, most of the genocide scholars agree that this is a genocide, but I remember that debate, and even he was kind of like shrugging that off and doesn't care. So clearly, and number five, he doesn't care. So why should I engage with him? So again, fuck you. Shut up. And that kind of shit. No. Okay, I gotta retry. Hot take: suffering makes people have brain damage. Yeah, in fact, it's even been shown that slightly different form of suffering rather than ethnic repression. We're talking about abusive relationships, right? It is actually statistically shown that people who grew up in an abusive environment are both more likely to be the abuser in a relationship and also more likely to be the victim in a future abusive relationship, right? Like people who have experienced dysfunctional relationships and have been victims of or perpetrators of abuse, or actually particularly victims of abuse, are like much more likely than everybody else by about tenfold, I think, or maybe 3 or 4-fold, something like that, to enter into another abusive relationship where they are either the perpetrator or the victim. You know, it does break your brain. You know, and I mean that's why abusive relationships are bad. They're bad exactly for the reason that it doesn't like make people's opinions valid, because it just makes you suffer. And when you suffer, that's your brain and your emotional state suffer, which means that like there's a bunch of shit that gets thrown off. Not the most academic terms I know, but like there are some pathologies that develop as a result of like people spending time in a profoundly dysfunctional or like hardship-inducing environment. How many costumes do I have for Waluigi? It's got to be at least a few now, like a decent amount. Can't have that many left. There we go. Cleared a mission. Yeah, I have 2 costumes left. But anyways, back to what I was saying about Israel, about this Axios article, that now the government is going to be tying disaster relief aid to whether or not states are sufficiently supportive of and like loyal to Israel. This is a moment of the government being massively cucked to Israel. But to counter a lot of people who were like who would be like actually anti-Semitic over this does not mean that Israel controls America or anything of the sort. In fact, it is more like it's more accurate to say it the other way around, that America controls Israel. Israel is our attack dog. This is my preferred way of phrasing it. A lot of people, use the more academic framing that they are our wedge, a geopolitical wedge in the Middle East. But frankly, Israel is fucking unhinged and they are a rogue state. So I think describing them as an attack dog should suffice. And they are an attack dog that we are not willing to put on a leash, right? Israel represents the testing ground for the United States and a broader Western military-industrial complex, right? They are an arm of capital. Pure, like plain and simple, right? You might even consider them like the unique 51st state where like fucking anything goes militarily, you know? We sink unlimited, borderline, completely unaccountable and unaccounted for money into the state of Israel to fuel the military-industrial complex, to put money in the pockets of defense contractors. That's the only reason that Israel exists. You know? In fact, the testing ground for a lot of the surveillance state that we see at home was done in Israel. Because again, that's the point. You know? It is in no way is Israel like representative of the Jewish community, except for the Jewish community that they have specifically pre-selected for, i.e. the most insane fucks on planet Earth that live in Israel. You know, Jews elsewhere are not not terribly represented by that, on the grounds that Israel claims to be like representative of all Jews, and Israel is a nation state. You know? So, like, even the engaging with the claim that, like, oh yeah, Israel represents all Jews is like some profound ethno-nationalism going on there. Like, ethno-state bullshit. You know? And of course, that's designed to sort of generate more anti-Semitism. So that Israel can have an easier time basically marketing itself to neoconservatives, neoliberals, so they can say, like, you know, we're being so victimized by these angry anti-Semites. Ooh. Carter, a bunch of numbers. Thank you very much for the follow. Problem with my headphones. Can you reply to me in chat? Appreciate it. Please don't ban me. I'll do what I can, but right now I'm doing a segment. You know, I see a lot of people. The reason I bring that up is just a lot of people defer to, like, Israel controls America, because it seems like America just fucking perpetually does whatever the fuck Israel wants, right? But really, Israel is just us outsourcing our own interests to a nominally separate nation state, so we can get away with spending unlimited money on military expenditures, war crimes, etc. You know? Like, take for example AIPAC, right? The America-Israel Political Action Committee, right? That they're like, oh, we want Israel and America to have, like, good relations or whatever, you know? Most of the members of AIPAC, most of the like donors and big name political forces at AIPAC are not they are not, you know, Jews or even like Israelis. Like, they're not, you know, insofar as like politically neutering AIPAC's ability to do what it does, it would be useful to label them as like a foreign agent, you know, advocating for a foreign set of interests. But fundamentally, AIPAC is just a fucking neoconservative, fascist, hybrid, like, advocacy group that hates the left and loves the military-industrial complex. Israel is simply the face of the military-industrial complex. Like, that's it. What? Oh, I'm almost at Toad's factory. You know? So if you think about it in terms of, like, oh yeah, you're not being loyal enough to, you know, the defense contractors, the people whose pockets we're supposed to be here to fill, then it makes a lot more sense why DHS is, like, denying relief aid to these places. Because it's all about that, like, capital consolidation and shit. Right? They've just found a new way to, like, outsource it. God, even the nationalism gets fucking outsourced these days. Kind of crazy. There were so many people that back in the day were like America first, and now it seems like it's Israel first, America second. But, you know, like I explained, Israel is just America again. They're just, like, part of our military-industrial complex. You know, they train our cops. We test our surveillance shit over there. We test our fucking, like, AI models over there. you know, our contractors like Palantir and shit. You know, Palantir has been testing their shit over in Israel before they roll it out in America. That's what Israel is. How do I get over there? Oh, whoa, whoa, okay, that was goofy. This this doesn't go exactly where I want to go, but I guess I could make a turn here. Yeah, I can turn left. This will take me somewhere. It's like, it's fucking, it's just so fucked up how much America is hollowing itself out just for the military contractors. It is, in fact, very reminiscent of 1984, where excess product, excess productivity just goes straight into the military and the war effort, right? Israel is like the Ministry of Peace in Oceania or whatever. They are the place where all of the excess capital goes to die. So we expend it in wartime, you know, killing minorities and killing people of other nationalities. So we have an excuse not to spend it here at home. And the excuse is carefully concocted that, oh, Israel is under such existential threat from, you know, starving children, that we have to send them all of this fucking money and capital in the form of, like, I don't know, auto turret defenses, missile, whatever, you know, whatever the fuck. Take your pick, right? What did I see back here? Oh, yeah, it was a medallion or something. No! Dang it, I missed. Anyways. Carter. What's up? Hey, got a peach medallion. Nice. Let's grab another one of these. And, no, I need to be headed the other way. Grr, silly me. You can hang a right where there's an available, like, an opportunity to do so. Maybe here? Yeah, probably here. What? It's a 7-Eleven? Yoshi 7-Eleven Yoshi version? That's crazy. Mariachi Waluigi, nice. Oh, only one more costume. Nice. Getting there. I am getting there. Let's go. I already got the stuff from Moo Moo Meadows, the like kind of food that appears there, so I'm gonna go probably straight to Peach Stadium. How many P-switches do I have? 270? Yeah. How many outfits do you need? For Waluigi, I need one more, and then there's a few characters remaining who I don't know how many outfits I need for them. But it's like a decent amount still. I think I've gotten through most of the characters by this point. You know? It just seemed like an attainable and like easily compartmentalizable goal. There we go. Keep going this way. Yeah, I guess maybe I ought to give like a short recap of what all I just talked about. Again, probably preaching to the choir. Government has decided that disaster relief will now be contingent on your state being loyal to Israel. This is obviously like extremely dystopian shit. We're basically outsourcing our authoritarianism to another state. So you don't even have to be pro-America, you just have to be pro-Israel in order to get this disaster relief. Which, is America cucked to Israel? Yes. Are we controlled by Israel? No. Don't let that sort of spurious relation draw you into any of the fucking, like, Zionist-occupied government, you know, posting or whatever, where people are like, isn't it weird how many Jews there are in the government? Like, shut the fuck up. It has nothing to do with Jewish people. Also, that was the last costume. Has everything to do with the military-industrial complex, because Zionists and Jews are not even remotely the same category. Most Jews in America are very critical of Israel, and you know, most Zionists in America are very not Jewish. You know, it's just, you know, Israel is the 51st state, and by 51st state I mean like several arms manufacturers and defense contractors in a big trench coat. And they want to just test their new toys on Arab children, and like test their surveillance shit. And so to that end, the United States just pours an ungodly amount of money into Israel, avoids all international accountability that Israel could ever be subjected to, and like, you know, generally does whatever Israel wants. Because Israel is just America again. You know, and that's without me even needing to mention how many Israelis are also Americans. You know, I don't even think that necessarily has a direct bearing to the argument. It's just like an overlap that exists. Yeah. Also, it is worth mentioning, because I have mentioned BDS, there are a number of states in which boycott, divest, and sanctions is already illegal. It is like, we literally have free speech in America, with the exception of you are not allowed to criticize the state of Israel. Much in the same way that a lot of third world dictatorships will not allow you to criticize the military, you know? Like a lot of third world countries that are very frequently maligned for being dictatorial are surprisingly like more lenient of criticism on you know, say the government directly, or like maybe the parliament or something like that. But they tend to be pretty touchy with the king and with the military, with the generals. You know? That's kind of the relationship that Israel has to this whole situation. They're just an outsourced military. It's literally like some Metal Gear shit. I know there's some media that touches upon this. Yeah, I just wanted to recap real quick. But that's all I got to say about that. Sure, charge and truck. Let's do that. And let's go. Oh, okay. I only need 3 costumes for Birdo. Let's see how many of them I could get, like, right here. There's one. Okay, so I guess not, those wouldn't be 2 and 3. Oh, wait, actually, there's only one other costume for Birdo. Silly me. Each stadium. I'm on the top level, aren't I? Yeah. You just gotta go down here. Oh, sorry, Toad. I have obliterated the bench that you were sitting on. I am just like every major American city. I will literally ruin all of the public infrastructure that people enjoy and use on the daily to, like, I don't know, look at pretty flowers and feed the birds, smiley face, because I hate homeless people. That's been what's happening in America for a lot of people. For folks in Europe, sometimes folks in Europe are like get tripped up on this or otherwise aren't like super familiar with this. But in America, there's literally like a surprising lack of places to just sit and hang out. Because the homelessness crisis in America got to the point. This was even before it like completely spiraled out of control to the state that it's in today. But like homeless people sometimes would sleep on like a park bench or something. So what did they do? They removed the park benches. Instead of fixing the problem with you know, by addressing homelessness, by like building housing or doing a housing first program like other countries have done, they just removed all the places that homeless people could sit. So more homeless people had to like find some alleyway or like random building to like slink away into, or otherwise they would have just died from the elements. Like in the woods somewhere. And this is actually extremely pervasive in American society today. I used to hang out at the airport a lot when I was little. I live relatively close to, you know, because of where I live near DC, I live relatively close by to Washington National Airport. It's not a huge airport, but when I was little, I really enjoyed going over there with my dad just to watch like the airplanes take off and all that. And it used to be there was these like this big like row of chairs that you could sit in while you were like waiting for a flight or something. And I would just sit there and sometimes I'd stand up and I'd like press up against the window and be like, oh, and I'd watch the airplanes. You can't do that anymore. They removed all the chairs. Same thing with a couple of train stations that I've been to on more than one occasion. There's nowhere to sit anymore. They're like empty and hostile and just like hollow because, you know, having seating in a public area potentially enables somebody who's like homeless to take a moment's rest or like sleep there for a night or two. And you know, I guess the public officials just fucking, because they all live in the suburbs and are inhuman monsters who, you know, who view their communities as just a way for them to accrue money on their fucking, like, property portfolio. They decided that, like, homeless people are icky, actually. This decreases my property values. So I will literally make the city worse for everybody, including myself, so I don't have to see homeless people anymore and so my portfolio can go up. Fucking diseased-ass country we live in. NYC subway removes benches talk. Yeah, it's not just the NYC subway is what I was saying. Like, I haven't been on the NYC subway, but I have been to the airport. I have been to the train station. Those places used to have chairs and benches. You could just sit there. You could watch the planes. You could watch the airplanes come in and take off and land and shit. I used to love doing that when I was a kid. They took out all the chairs because they didn't want, like, one, in parentheses, one homeless person to, like, come and maybe have a nap. Like, genuinely evil shit. Can't even remember the time before homeless anti-structures. I'm profoundly sorry. I remember when the first anti-homeless bench was a thing, like in 2018 or 19, I think. I remember the first time I ever saw, it was like right after the invention of the anti-homeless bench, and I was like, that's fucking evil. Nobody wanted or asked for this. And if they did, fuck them. You know? Like, at the time, I was kind of operating under the assumption that people were generally opposed to the idea of somebody just dying, right? Like, I was so naive to assume that, like, you know, sure, there were people that were politically abhorrent, but they weren't necessarily evil. Now I realize, no, they're just, like, evil and hate you and me and everything. Because, like, at the time, I was like, what does this serve to do? All this does is make benches worse to sit on, make it so that you can't, like, you know, if there's a homeless person, they can't take a nap on a park bench or something. As uncomfortable as it might be, it's like, it's something. And it makes it so that if you're, like, hanging out, like with your significant other or something, like if you're on a cute little date, one of the things I had seen in some media up to that point, which again I thought was very cute, was when like one person's sitting on the bench and then the other person, like, you lied down and you put your head in their lap, and it's just a nice moment that people had when there were like normal ass park benches, you know. I fucking hate the anti-homeless benches and all that they represent. I was in college when that really became a thing. If I had superpowers, I'd be tempted to destroy any bench that I sit on that's anti-homeless. You don't need superpowers for that. There are, I live next to a park. There's a park near where I live. There are anti-homeless benches in the park, and they are made of wood. It would be all too easy for me to get a crowbar, for me to acquire a crowbar, and I can see exactly where the little anti-homeless wooden bar is like bolted down. And I guarantee, if I had a crowbar, I could just go and pry the wooden fixture off of the bench. And voila, no longer anti-homeless bench. I've considered this a couple of times, whether or not it'd be worth it over the past 3-ish years. You know, sometimes when I'm walking down the park, I look at them and I'm like, you know, I could do it. But I also remember that, like, you so much as step in the wrong place or spend 1 minute too long in like a public area and you get fucking arrested on misdemeanor charges and your whole life is ruined because nowhere in the United States will hire you if you have like a conviction of a legal offense. You know? And nowhere will let you apply for like a loan or a bank card. Nowhere will let you apply for housing or whatever. It's not worth it. How easily superpowers would make it even more tempting. Oh, for sure. If I had superpowers, you better believe I'd be like, if I had superpowers, I would have been like done that. You know? Yeah. Very tempting. Boat rental. Now let's do this one. There we go. Oh, there's only one costume for Pauline? You seen those interviews in the New York election? I have not. What I have seen, though, actually, before we get to that, I would love to hear about that. One thing I have seen is the results of the Seattle mayoral primary election. I did some phone banking for Katie Wilson over the weekend and earlier this week, and I was quite happy to see that she made it to the runoff. In fact, ahead of the incumbent mayor. You know? Give me that. Yeah. Oh. Hey, there we go. That's the one costume for Pauline. Where one side is embarrassed while the other side is a movement. Oh, yeah. Like, are you referring to that like, donors meeting where like, Andrew Cuomo is speaking to a room full of, like, donors and supporters and whatever, and it's like he's trying to explain to them why they lost. It's almost like these people are so cut off from reality that he's having to explain to these fucking chameleon ass lizard donor people why constantly saying, do you stand with Israel? Would you visit Israel? Are you like subservient and loyal to the state of Israel and shit? Doesn't work as an electoral strategy? Oh, you mean like street interviews? I haven't seen as much of those because I kind of already know that like the median voter is a moron. And so I don't, it's kind of like, it's not as bad as subjecting myself to a debate with a right-wing grifter because they just don't care at all. but it is kind of like similar in so far as the reasons that I don't watch them, which is that it's not gonna like tell me anything particularly interesting that I don't know. Like I could watch people be politically incoherent for fucking an hour and a half in these street interviews, and I respect the street interviewers, of course, but like that's not what I'm about right now, you know. Ah, there we go. I have seen a couple of those though. It is pretty painfully obvious. Well, painfully, it is pretty like evident which like which people actually care and which people are like clearly trying to mask the fact that they're Republicans who just love Israel and like hate Arabs or something and hate Muslims. You know, you get your fair share of kooks. I don't expect to hear socialism from the random Joes. The thing is, like, people are politically inconsistent, incoherent enough. You can hear socialism from the average person, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're like ideologically socialist. It just means that they support something that is socialist in character, right? You know, I don't know, like not workers unions. What would it be? Like more funds for libraries and like community-owned gardens and community-owned housing developments and affordable housing and stuff. These are very, if not socialist outright, then like socialist adjacent things. And like you do sometimes, it is nice to hear sometimes the average person supporting something like that. But yeah, like the average person, like even people who support stuff like that, they wouldn't be like, I'm fucking 10 toes down with Karl Marx right now, you know? But yeah, I get you. On land on it? Nice. Yucca. How's your mental state? Uh, uh, was or is? Because right now it's kind of like I'm a little bit in like downer state of mind. Currently getting more insane as I get older. I wonder how deep the rabbit hole goes. There is no end to how deep the rabbit hole goes. Yeah, right now, sometimes I feel much the same, where it's like, I'm going fucking insane, dude. Not because of, like, I feel like I'm actually having a break from reality, but it's like, it's almost like everybody's getting stupider around me, and I feel like I'm the only one who's trying to, like, tread water in this situation. There was never an end. Facts. Big facts. Just having mental breaks? Yeah. Yeah, I have some of those sometimes. Uh, oh, that's just this, huh? Where's the next? I would probably have to turn left, go this way, right? Hear about what happened with the Washington Commanders football team and Trump? No, I did not. I don't see sports stuff very frequently. What happened there? Isn't there one on either side here? Yeah, there's one there. Yeah, sports is where you get paid to potentially, well, not necessarily. It depends on the sport. Football, definitely, you're getting paid to get hurt, you know? Soccer, not necessarily. And then, like, basketball, also not necessarily. But yeah, football for sure. You're getting paid to get hurt. Yeah. I actually can't enjoy football because of how much that sport will just give you brain damage. It's like I actually have a visceral reaction. It was like, wouldn't that hurt and like cause some sort of damage long term? Like that doesn't look right, you know? Yeah. Yeah, you have a natural aversion to like hurting yourself and shit, which is good actually. Oh wow. Trump basically came out, said that the Commanders too woke of a name and won't fund the team's new stadium unless they change their name back to Redskins. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, I did see that actually. Everybody was like, yeah, he should rename it to the fucking Washington Epstein's shit, which was great because it was so clear that he was just doing that to like to try to distract people from the fact that he's deeply fucking implicated in the Epstein files, which was only confirmed by a recent piece in the New York Times that put Donald Trump and Bill Clinton right next to each other in terms of how implicated they were with Jeffrey Epstein. That they like were really buddy buddy with him back in the 90s. Yeah. No, I mean it is actually like, I would say like you're sure good. Don't fucking fund the new stadium because stadiums are another one of those things where they just fucking pour money in. Stadiums are not owned publicly. They're not owned by the city. They're owned by like private enterprises, and I think it's like the owners and like management or something. I'm not super familiar with the corporate structure of sports, but stadiums are very much like a real estate portfolio investment that for whatever fucking reason there's like such a degree of institutional capture by investors and owners and whatever that like local state and federal governments just fucking subsidize it in America specifically, in the United States, because it's not like that in Europe. That's why there's not you know it's no real sports community in America the way there is in Europe. And when I say community, it's like, you know, the actual town is associated with something or other. Whereas in America, teams get traded around to different locations all the time. Yeah, it's like literally money will go fucking anywhere except for, poor people. The like people that need economic resources in order to improve their lives. What does Commanders and woke have in common? Because it's not a racial slur. Redskin is a racial slur against American Indians. And the name was only changed in like the 2010s from Redskins to just football, like the Washington football team, because they hadn't like come up with a name yet. And then they changed it to Commanders because like, oh, haha, like Pentagon or something like that. I don't know. I guess it makes sense for DC. Yeah, the Washington football team was actually like kind of funny, like your team name here type shit. But yeah, the reason they call it woke is just because they want to go back to like saying a racial slur against a minority that has been the victim of genocide at the hands of the American state. They should honestly go back to football team. Facts. Commanders is like a pretty inoffensive team name, but it's like it's inoffensive in a very generic way. Like it's not that interesting. Football team as the name of your football team is really fucking funny, right? It's like one of those things I would rather watch a movie that's so bad it ends up being really funny rather than like something that's just mid and not that entertaining, if that makes sense. You know? Cuz Commanders is like mid. It's a serviceable name, but it's not that interesting, not that entertaining or whatever. But if you just call your football team the football team, that's like, I like that. That's true. It is a team about the foot and the ball and the sport of football. No lies detected. Fact checked by real American patriots. 100% true. You get it. Washington football team and Utah hockey team are the peak of sport team names. Yes. There has to be like, I think the funniest it can get is if like per sport there's one team like that. You know? So the Utah hockey team and then every other hockey team has an actual name, right? And then the Washington football team and then every other football team has an actual name. The Athletics representing no city. Yeah, the absolute state of American sports right now. That's the problem with American sports, is that it has no ties to any community in particular. The Athletics is just the most brazen example of that, where you had football teams like the Baltimore Ravens were moved out of Baltimore, several times. You know, the Cincinnati Bengals, not necessarily Cincinnati. I think there's been times when like they weren't in Cincinnati either. The Cleveland Browns, not necessarily Cleveland. And the Athletics is just the fucking pinnacle of that, where it's like, fuck it, we won't even give this team a city or whatever, because obviously sports isn't about like communal engagement in recreational activities. No, it's about fucking millions of dollars in contracts and like tossing investments around and growing your portfolio, because that's all anything is in America. Or if they have to win a certain amount of games to get a team name. Now we're cooking. Hold up, that might be a fucking genius idea. Do I have... No, I'm still missing a costume for Rosa. Rosalina, not Rosa Luxemburg. Yeah, you have to earn that shit. Until then, you're just called the something team. Like, okay, here's the funny idea, right? You have to, like you said, you have to win a number of games in order to earn the right to like pick a team name. But no two teams can pick the same name, obviously, right? And everybody starts as just the soccer team of such and such, like the soccer team or the football team or whatever. And one of the names that you can pick is just the football team or the soccer team or something like that. So you get like the fucking Washington football team, and then they win a bunch of games or whatever, and the name they pick is the Washington football team. But they're the only team that's allowed to just be called the football team because they picked that name after they like won enough games. That would actually be so good. Red team and blue team. Yeah. It could also be like, maybe there's not a set number of names that you can choose from, but it's like you can come up with a name, that you think would be good. And then like, I don't know, some board is like, yeah, this is sufficiently like not like extremely racist or some shit. So it is good. You can be called that, great. Like, feel like this system needs to incorporate some guardrails where you can't call your team like a racial slur. Like the Redskins or some shit. Alright, I got all the Rosalina costumes. That's cool. Nice. So now who else left? Just the baby characters. These are the only characters with costumes, I think. The remaining ones, like baby characters. I do really like Baby Mario in this game. The way he just kind of bounces around like that, Like with Mario, it's kind of off-putting the way he's just kind of looking at you like that. But then Baby Mario is, I think the animations are more fluid enough that it's not like a weird fucking horror movie ass thing looking at me. If that makes sense. It's insane when you think about it, how many calories your body burns if you just walk more than the average person. Yeah, you do burn a lot of calories doing that. do I want to... This is actually perfect. This car with the Baby Mario thing. The Baby Mario, like, working crew thing. I like that. Fuck it. Sure. Okay, now I can probably just go back to the... place over here. There we go, jump over that. And get more of these things. Okay, transforming. Ah, Pro Racer, very nice. Lunchbox, that's probably going to turn me back. Yeah, neutral. Okay, so one more costume for Baby Mario. That's pretty good. I guess I could start going this way. Towards Bowser's Castle, menacingly over in the distance. Ow. Am I going the right way? Yes, I am. Cool. No, I barely didn't get on there. I think there were a couple more things I wanted to mention. Maybe one or two. Oh, yeah. Okay. Does anybody know what the fuck the UK is cooking? Because I saw this, I saw this unfold over a series of tweets, right? Obviously, the UK being Turf Island, right? The Labour Party and the Tories are, like, rabidly anti-trans, so much so that, like, one of their defining issues is, like, yeah, we should put trans women in men's prisons so they can be raped to death, right? Like, they've been confronted by journalists and interviewers with the question, like, well, what about the, you know, like, if you're putting, you know, trans women in prisons with men, how are you going to, like, address any of the potential problems with, or demonstrated problems even, with, like, sexual abuse and sexual violence that can unfold with these trans women as the victims? And they basically just said they belong there, or something like that. They, like, doubled down on their position that, like, nah, we're just going to put trans women in prisons with men. Nigel Farage, of all fucking people, comes out and releases a statement that, you know what, we could actually just take a listen to his statement. Let me get this ready here with the React Andy shit. Or I may need to, yeah, I may need to reduce the size of this again so that it's more just like the video, right? Have a look at this. So this person angrily tweets, Nigel Farage supports some men should be in women's prisons. They're talking about trans women. He says it's about risk assessment before deferring to Vanessa Drake, his justice advisor. Let's hear what he's got.
To trans women in prisons, you know, isn't it interesting that we run our country with people who become ministers, who generally have absolutely no idea of the subject matter that they're talking about? I've personally never worked in a prison, so I can't answer it, but I think you'll find that the answer that you'll get from somebody who has worked in prisons at the highest possible level is, I think basically it's about risk assessment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we all know what the law is. I'm not going to go back over that yet again.
This is the his pick for justice minister.
But to my mind, everybody
or I guess his advisor
who is in prison deserves to be treated with humanity and decency, and that includes female prisoners, and it includes trans prisoners. You know, everything in the prison service is risk assessed. And I am sure that the prison service will tie itself up in knots over the trans issue, just like many other public sectors have. And as Nigel said earlier, you know, we are at the beginning, and that is something that we will need to speak about clearly.
Yeah, but in terms of the problems in prisons, it's a relatively small one.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Tony Diver.
All right. Yeah. So that was the clip. That was it. I am actually like that actually left me kind of confused. I was like, "Wait, what the fuck is happening?" Right? How is the far right party in the UK less transphobic than like both of the other supposedly more moderate parties? And to my mind, the answer is this, right? The answer is, I think, like, Reform really wants to take power, right? And they don't want to squander that. You know, the way that the Labor Party squandered it last year, right? And so I think they're like, they picked the most banal, like, not egregious answer they could, which was like, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty small problem, and it like needs a case by case basis, and so we're gonna like, I don't know, do whatever our risk assessment protocols kind of dictate, which means that like, yeah, trans women will probably go in women's prisons. You know, like, deferring to risk assessment here is way more pro trans than either party in the UK has been up to this point. I actually don't like fully know what to make of that. I don't know what the UK is cooking. It would be actually really fucking funny if the Reform Party was so interested in real politics, in gaining power to snub the Labour Party and the Tories, that they start selectively adopting certain like progressive positions, that they're like, yeah, you know, most people are fine with this. I don't know. I don't know. Although I do notice, I don't expect that they are like being completely forthright and honest here, right? Like, we're talking about political operatives in a political party. And for the most part, they kind of defer to risk assessment, which I suppose leaves open the possibility that like they could just kind of bullshit some risk assessment, be like, oh, you know, turns out, you know, trans women actually are, I don't know, disproportionate risk or something like that, with no data to speak of. They kind of leave themselves the room to like retreat back on trans issues later. But I think it's noteworthy. If nothing else, it is very noteworthy that Reform didn't just come out of the gates swinging, saying like, we fucking hate trans people, the way that the Labour Party and the Tories have, you know? I want to believe that they eventually kind of adopt this position in some effect, just because it's funny. Because it'd be very funny if they did. I get something from this. Oh. That just turned me into regular Baby Mario. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I might need to go to like Moo Moo Meadows or something to get the next thing. Let me try that. Which way would I need to go? Probably just straight across. Yeah. I need to hang a left now. Go this way. Right? Am I going the right way? Yes, I am. Very good, very good. Yeah, okay, I can kind of see where the terrain starts to change up there. Maybe? Oh, wait, hold on. Ah, it's taking me towards Toad's factory. I guess I can just kind of come up here. I guess that works. All right. Maybe catch up to this thing. Nah, okay. So Moo Moo Meadows probably isn't going to have what I'm looking for. Probably. Yeah, definitely not. Okay. Where do I go now? Probably straight still? Yeah, I guess I could start going over there. Wait. No, this just takes me back up north. Alright. Maybe this? Maybe this will have something? Just turn me into... Nope. Pro Racer. Okay. Oh, there's a P mission that I haven't done over there. Let me go get that. Oh, there's two, in fact. How about that? Evade the armadillos on your way to the goal. Okay. What? These armadillos are belligerent. What has come of the armadillo society these days? Why? Why they do that? Let me go back here so I can try to get over the other one. Okay, I need to go around for that. Yeah, okay, I see it now. Soar through the air and through the bridge. Interesting. Okay. Let's make it through here. Okay, that was a little bit tighter than I would have liked, but sure. Let me actually go back there just so I can have like a more consistent frame of reference for where I was. Keep going this way, probably. Following the road, that is. Whoa, okay. Got bumped by that truck quite a bit. Give me these coins. Yeah. Some more Yoshi Burger places. If I hang a left here, that's going to put me down towards Mario Bros. Circuit. Oh, but there's a P mission. Take that. Thank you. Do tricks off the cacti for extra height. Off the cacti? What the hell? I thought the cacti would have, like, made me spin out or something. Oh, okay. Alright. It's a very strange mechanic. Turn slightly right. Yeah. Oh, there's a road here. That's cool. Dirt road. Need to hang a left. Not this hard of a left. Oh, those are Yoshi food truck things. Which means I want them. Give me that. That didn't give me anything. This didn't give me anything either. Whoa, what the? That's crazy. Okay, these ain't gonna give me nothing. Really? Are these all the same? Damn. Alright. So I gotta go this way. No, I've done that P mission. Okay, okay. I kind of like those pots on Shy Guy Bazaar because they are like a kind of hazard, but they're a pretty lenient hazard. They're pretty fun, like funny. That's like, oh, I'm gonna hop towards you, and like this little fucking Oscar the Grouch or whatever that peeks out of the trash can, and then, but then it doesn't like make you spin out when it hits you. So it's like, it's funny because it's okay, swimwear, Baby Mario, nice. A little what is it called? The little things you put on like your arms, floats, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, those little Oscar the Grouch things always seem like pretty non-threatening, which makes them a lot more fun, I think. All right, Baby Luigi. I'll go with the cloud. Actually, let's see. I'm gonna hit start. Change the sticker. Yeah. There we go. Okay, now we'll do this. Turn around. That makes me Pro Racer Luigi, Baby Luigi. That makes me Work Crew Baby Luigi. Pro Racer Baby Luigi, okay. Where was the other thing that I got? I swear there was like one more food. Well, there's a lot of food place over here. No, I hate getting a golden. Just let it run out, let it run out. And give me this. Got one kebab. One mushroom. One of these. One of these. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Shit, I actually didn't see... Oh, wait, those were the only 3 costumes. Okay, might be. I didn't realize. Okay, that was really easy. So it's only 3 Baby Luigi costumes. What about Baby Peach? Sure. How many costumes does Baby Peach have? 5. So I need to unlock 4. Okay. There's 1, Sailor outfit or whatever. There's 2, Pro Racer. Okay. So Explorer. Okay, that's 3. I actually don't know if I can get the 4th one here. Okay. Let's start going north. So I'm going to have to turn around again. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah. Exhibit number whatever the fuck. Of, oh, damn it, this figures in. There was something that I wanted to work into the segment about Israel, but I didn't get the chance to. But it's relevant here as well. But first, I'll talk about the actual thing in question that I want to talk about, which is the White House Rose Garden, or rather the lack thereof. The Trump administration literally paved over the White House Rose Garden, which is a historical landmark of the White House in the United States. It's been here for over 200 years, which is about as old as the country itself, and it's very famous. Very well kept and that sort of thing. And they just got rid of it. Trump administration got rid of the White House garden. They paved over it to just put up a bland concrete seating area. Well, what was the fucking thing from the one song? It's like they paved over paradise and put up a parking lot. Basically that. It's all gray, and the fucking drain on this concrete like seating area, right, where there's chairs and like tables. It's like a patio. The drains for water are in the shape of the American flag, which is fitting in a way that I really hate. Nonetheless, it highlights something to me. This, as well as the that addition onto the White House, proposed addition. I don't know whether they're actually going to do that or not, which is all like gaudy gold and white, just like monstrosity, ballroom kind of thing. What it represents to me is an essential component of fascism, which is that fundamentally it hates art, because art as a form of expression, as a form of like, well, I guess that's all art is a form of visual expression, or not even visual, is not necessarily subservient to the state, right? And the reason that the White House would do this, right, is it's just because they hate you. They hate everything. But most importantly, from a theoretical perspective, they want all of the icons of this country, and they want everything generally to be subservient to the state. I've talked about this before, and I will talk about it, I'm sure in several instances after this as well. But, the White House Rose Garden was a piece of art and culture that is appreciated on its own, irrespective of the will of the state. Therefore, in the mind of the fascists, it must be purged. We must be rid of it so that only the glory of the state can remain. Does that make sense? And as I was saying earlier, now what I can now get to, this actually pertains to the discussion about Israel as well. The Trump administration making disaster relief aid contingent on whether a state supports Israel or not is fundamentally a part of that fascist complex, the need for everything to be subservient to the state. Because Israel represents the military power, the most raw form of political power of the American state. You know, like I said, it's an essential component of a modern nation state statecraft. We've just outsourced it to a nominally different set of borders. You know, it is the same interest, the interests of state, the interests of military industrial capital, right? And so it makes sense that as fascism advances and tries to consolidate its power in this country, it will the adherents of it will try to crack down on all that is not subservient to the state. That is to say, in this instance, anything that is not loyal to Israel, Israel being a representative of the imperial power of the American state. You know? And that fundamentally, stuff like that is why there's such a like emphasis on BDS laws and whatever, because it's about statist ideologies asserting the primacy of the state, of the military industrial complex, of like the ruling and owning classes, you know, of capital. You know? But in parlance that a regular ass person who is not reading Rosa Luxemburg for fun will understand, because that such a person who is normal is not mentally ill like myself. They hate you. They're doing this. In the short version is just because they hate you. They hate life. They hate art, and they hate good things because they can't control art necessarily. Anyways, that's all I wanted to waffle about for those purposes. Still need one more costume, right? Yeah, I do. Let me move this text thing a little bit. Is there a Yoshi's Place here? Maybe, maybe not. I'm just gonna keep going this way, I think. Oh yeah, also, this is just germane to, my own personal life. I might stream the game I'm gonna refer to one day, or I might not. I don't know. I play a lot of Street Fighter, or I guess at least a decent amount. And recently, Sagat released for Street Fighter 6. The King is back, or I guess the Emperor, as his title is in that game. And he's really cool and a lot of fun. And he hits like a fucking truck. Very cool. And I kind of like the depiction of Muay Thai. It's like in Sagat's character, he's a very Muay Thai character. A lot of elbows, a lot of knees. Ah, nice. I also like how they just make him an absolute behemoth of a man. Like, he's huge. It's like 7 feet tall or something. I think this is the way I'd have to go to get... Yeah, it's right over here. Oh! Hey, there we go. Touring. That's the last costume. Change character. Give me Baby Daisy. Okay. I wonder if I could get all of them in the remaining time. That'd be good. Let's go Tiny Titan. Wait, shit. Hold on. Let me change the sticker. Sure. We'll do that. Tiny Titan. Then... give me that. Touring. Okay. Oh, okay. Same costumes, it seems, as Baby Peach. So I think I might be able to just go down to Peach Stadium and unlock the other costumes there, potentially. Yeah, okay. I can see it in the distance, so I just go that way. Ah! Crashed. Should be a Yoshi's place along the way. Yeah, there's one. There we go. Lunchbox? Ain't gonna turn me into anything? Nope. Default. Rip. And now here is the circle up there, where there's a bunch of different food places. It's 4, in fact. Okay, there's Explorer. There's Pro Racer. And oh, there's only one more that I need. Probably like Sailor or something? I think Baby Peach had one of those. Also... we go down here. Try to nab some of these. Oop. Making the infrastructure worse like your average Neolith. Thank you. That's not what I needed. It's also not. Okay, here's one. Oh, that's the lunchbox. That's going to turn me into default Baby Daisy. What about this? Nope. Oh, what about this? Nope. Alright. I'll have to probably drive back to these courses again. Or, like, over there. Okay. I'll just try to hit all the Yoshi's places I see along the way. There's one. Ah, don't spin me out like that. Alright, give me whatever's on there. That's cake. That's not gonna do anything for me. Where am I headed? Okay. Oh, what? There's a medallion there. Oh, well. How many medallions do I have? 61. It's not awful. I think I can actually, if the costume I'm missing is what I think it is, and if Baby Rosalina is going to be handled, like, in terms of costumes, is the same as, like, Baby Daisy and Baby Peach, then I might be able to finish all this, like, costume collection stuff in this session. That might be good. Ah. Well, there's one of these places. Oh, this might be it? Yes, okay, there it is. Alright. on to the last character, which is Baby Rosalina. And she is levitating. All right, let's go to the classic, the Bee Dasher. Big fan of this vehicle. Makes a little beep noise. That's funny. Go back to that Yoshi's place. Okay. Okay, yeah, it does look... So far, it looks like the same general thing. See if I can't catch up to this one. Pizza. I didn't do anything. Oh, is that a Yoshi's place? Yes, it is. That is the last item I wanted to see. When you're going around trying to, like, just farm up all the Yoshi's places you can see, you really don't want to get a golden mushroom. In fact, it's actually, like, really, really annoying when you get a golden in that kind of scenario. Sailor. Isn't there a Yoshi's place over here somewhere? Gotta be, right? Okay, yeah, here's one. This is ice cream? This will turn me into something. Yeah, touring. Okay, cool. Hamburger. That didn't turn me into anything. Oh, there's a medallion there. There's a P mission up there. Okay. Break through the barrier here. Can I get up there? Yeah, I just have to go around. Okay. Let's figure out a figure 8 to grab the blooper coins. Okay. So they're telling me driving a figure 8. Ah, don't do that. Ow. Alright, that wasn't so bad. Nice. Another Yoshi place, nice. Robbing their money stockpile. Being gay and doing crime as per usual. What's up, Toad? Okay, that didn't do anything. Where am I going here? Okay, it's taking me down this way. Alright. Well, that's a lot of coins up there. And that's a Peach medallion. How do you get that? To start like up here someplace? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna think about it too hard. I already said I'm not getting all the medallions and P missions. I'm just getting the costumes. Could be Yoshi's place down here, right? Yeah, there's one. Ah, dang it. I gotta go around here? Okay. Something? Yes, Explorer. Okay. Which leaves just one more costume. I think it would be... not Sailor, because I got that one. I don't know, it's something. I should start using this. I go this way. Alright. Trooper Beach. There's a Yoshi's Place over here. I don't remember that much. Animal. Very nice. That gives me a couple of coins. Yuka! No, it's sailor mode again. Okay. Go this way. Guess Dino Jungle maybe would be the next next target. Sure. Unless actually there are Yoshi's places over here, right? Maybe at least one or two. Maybe not there. Oh yeah, here's one. Ah, it's gonna be something I already got. The same here. We're going this way. And I'll go this way, and then I'll come back north. I don't think I want to go to question mark block ruins. Here is Yoshi's Place just outside. Will this turn me into something? No, okay, Explorer. There's another one up here. I can grab something from that. No, it's gonna do the same thing. Alright, now I'm looking to basically hang a left as soon as I can to go up north. So like right here. Probably. Cannot remember still what the last food item would be. Maybe it's like one of those cakes or something? I don't know. Yeah, okay. Left here, go north. That's a P mission. Not doing all of them, but if I see him, I'll take it. Travel a path up the mountain. Okay. Do that. And then... Cool? Alright, that wasn't actually very hard, even though it looked pretty cool. Like, looked like a little bit much, in fact. Okay, now I'm headed this way. Another P mission. Alright, I'll take it. Give me that. Don't let the T-Rex scare you. Okay. Oh, okay. Go up on one of these. Okay. See, there's that on rails element again, where it's like clearly I didn't have the necessary momentum or speed to like actually get higher, but then the game just decides, yeah, well, this is the path you're supposed to take, so you know, fuck it. That's a P mission I haven't done? I'm genuinely surprised by that. Okay. Okay. That was a little bit more annoying than it should have been, because I got one random, like, side roll that I didn't do. Also, this is a P mission that I haven't done yet. Oh, boy. I'm just kind of running into them now, when I, like, don't actually want to be. Okay, this one at least takes me back towards the land over there. Get the blue coins with the help of the crocodiles. Okay, I can do that. Alright. Nice. And just keep going straight. No, that's gray. That P mission is grayed out. I've done it already. Wait. No, it isn't. What? I haven't done this one yet? That's crazy. Okay. Blue coins around the geyser field. Okay. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon with randomizer text? Like the text is randomly generated? That'd be extremely cursed. I feel like I would have a stroke if I tried to play that game. Want to make it interesting to play through? I mean, there are Mystery Dungeon fan games out there, right? Like, I don't know. Look, I'm not saying you would have a stroke playing through it. I'm saying I would have a stroke playing through it. You know? Like, recently I did, you know, one of those data entry typing tests, right? To be like, oh, how quickly can you type with how much accuracy? And that nearly gave me a stroke. Because what I didn't realize was it wasn't going to be a paragraph or series of sentences with any rhyme, reason, or structure. It was just going to be several strings of like unrelated and disconnected words. That it was just like, okay, type this word, now type this word, now type this word. And it's like you had to do that as fast as possible, but it was like really hard to do that. But you know, I got like 71 words per minute with like 97% accuracy, and I was like, okay. You know, for not being warmed up or anything like that, that's probably fine. I've one randomizer text mods for where Sans said his brother watched Fox News. I feel like that's too precious for it to have been captured solely by a randomizer, no? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm saying essentially I feel like that's like too funny to be random. Should I go back to Peach Stadium? Maybe I should. The text was AI generated. Okay, so it was like autocomplete. You know what's really sad about like AI taking over the internet and shit like that? Back in the day when analog horror was getting big, I really liked it. You know? I liked how there was a seemingly new model of horror that was like, uh, 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 it was horror that I could kind of deal with a little bit better than other stuff, because there was a layer of separation. There was an additional layer of separation. Something like that. You know, with things like the Mandela Catalog. Now, funnily enough, the fucking Gemini Home Entertainment, I actually had a really hard time with, you know, watching, because I was like, oh fuck, you know. Oh, that's it. Pro Racer. We got all the costumes. Yeah, watching, try to make a story but failing miserably. Yeah, it was just kind of sad that like analog horror started to get taken over by AI as well, because of like, you know, it's just so easy to saturate everything with slop. And I guess it's, you know, this applies to every form of art, but like this one I particularly felt because it was a form of art that I actually really enjoyed, you know, especially because with some of them it's like it's supposed to be a metaphor for rapidly advancing technological and telecommunications standards, and how easily it is for, I think with the Mandela Catalog, it's like meant to be an allegory for social media, and how basically life has become a panopticon of fear and paranoia and imposter syndrome and shit like that, you know? I mess up. But now it's like just an aesthetic flourish. You know, there's like no substance. It's all style, no substance. I guess that kind of happens when like when a particular genre or subgenre gets saturated either way. But even still, I feel like it didn't used to be like that. You know, you still had to make something in order to make something, even if it was slop. But with AI, you legitimately can just prompt it to do certain things. Yeah, no, it's not like a matter of me thinking anything was safe from capitalism. It just hurt when it hit, you know? So now if I go to change character here, look at that, we got all the skins unlocked. Every last one of them. Let me see if I can actually... Well, I don't want to assume that there aren't skins for some of these other characters. Let me check. Very least with, like, Dry Bones. Which creature in the Mario universe would you hate to be born as? Probably Koopa? I don't know. Koopa or Goomba, maybe. Poor bastard. Yep, okay. There's no costumes for this guy. And I am done with this game. Nice. All the costumes for Peach, all the costumes for Baby Mario, DK, Yoshi, Baby Peach, Lakitu, Koopa Troopa, Pauline, Mario, Daisy, Luigi, Shy Guy, Bowser Jr., Waluigi, Baby Luigi, Toad, Bowser. Bowser Jr., I might have said him already. Baby Daisy, Boo, or King Boo, rather. Birdo. So convenient to check that easily? Yeah. Very nice. Quit free roam. Nice. Now, having given it some thought, I don't think I'm going to go through the trouble to unlock all the characters that you would have to unlock via Kamek, you know, the Magikoopa item that, like, transforms you into a random, like, you know, creature from the Mario world. I don't think I'm going to do that. I've gotten all the costumes, and I think I'm content sort of ending my journey of streaming this game right there. I got all the question mark panels. Didn't quite get all of the P missions, right? There's still about 100 something that I'm missing. I'm not going back for those. I'm still missing however many Peach medallions. I'm not going back for those because I don't hate myself. And also, frankly, I feel like, you know, I don't know. It's just more effort than it's worth. So, I will leave you guys with that. What game are you going to play next? I don't know. I'm going to have a few days to think about it because I'll be at Super Smash Con on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then I'll be back sometime next week, probably. I might even be back sometime this week. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises, but I'm going to think about what game I want to play next. Because I'm not entirely sure yet, but I have some stuff written down. Let's see who's live. Cody is live. Let's raid Cody Schwab. Alright. Enjoy Cody Schwab grinding some Super Smash Bros. For Super Smash Con, aka Supernova. He has a pretty decent chance of winning that tournament, and I'm not going to get anywhere close, but, you know,